The Japanese military surprised the Allies with their quick and successful expansion across Asia and the Pacific Islands after attacking Pearl Harbor. The soldiers of Japan, who were highly trained and skilled, demonstrated themselves to be formidable adversaries. The Philippines was an important theater of war in the Pacific. In December 1941, right after the Pearl Harbor attack, Japanese troops invaded the Philippines. General Douglas MacArthur was leading the American army there. The American and Filipino forces, led by MacArthur, were greatly outnumbered by the Japanese troops, resulting in their defeat. The Allied forces couldn't stop the Japanese advance, so MacArthur chose to retreat to the Bataan Peninsula. The Battle of Bataan was a difficult and exhausting fight for the Allied forces. They experienced a lack of supplies, and the situation worsened when no substantial assistance was provided by U.S. officials. The soldiers displayed great courage in battle, but they were ultimately compelled to surrender in April 1942. Following the surrender, the soldiers who survived experienced immense difficulties during the Bataan Death March. The prisoners of war were compelled to march approximately 65 miles in harsh conditions, enduring scarcity of food and water. Japanese captors frequently resorted to beating, bayoneting, or shooting individuals who were unable to keep up or displayed signs of weakness. The march lasted for a total of 5 days and nights, during which a significant number of prisoners unfortunately lost their lives due to the severe treatment, extreme fatigue, and exposure to the elements. The individuals who survived the Bataan Death March were transported to prison camps by the Japanese, where they experienced additional hardships. The conditions in these camps were extremely bad, with too many people, not enough food, and no medical care. Consequently, numerous additional prisoners perished while in confinement. General Douglas MacArthur, upon receiving the command to depart from the Philippines, made a renowned pledge to the people remaining there: "I will come back." The pledge became a symbol of hope and determination for the Filipinos and Allied forces. They saw it as a sign that liberation might be possible in the future. MacArthur kept his word and went back to the Philippines in October 1944. He led the Allied forces in freeing the islands from Japanese control. The Battle of Leyte Gulf was a very important event in the Pacific theater. It greatly weakened the Japanese Navy and allowed the Allies to make more progress towards Japan. Following their defeat in the Philippines, the United States initiated a counterattack against Japan. During the spring of 1942, Lieutenant Colonel James Doolittle led a bombing mission targeting Tokyo. Soon after, the United States Navy achieved a major triumph over Japan in the Battle of Coral Sea, effectively eliminating Japan's ability to invade Australia. In June 1942, the Japanese targeted Midway Island, which is situated northwest of Hawaii. Nevertheless, the American forces had successfully deciphered the Japanese code and possessed knowledge regarding their intentions to launch an assault on Midway Island on a particular day. Admiral Chester Nimitz, who led the American naval forces in the Pacific, took steps to protect the island. In the Battle of Midway, Nimitz and his forces effectively eliminated 4 Japanese aircraft carriers, 1 cruiser, and 250 planes. This crucial battle was a major turning point in the Pacific War because it significantly weakened the Japanese Navy, leaving them at a disadvantage for the remainder of the conflict. Following their defeat in the Philippines, American forces shifted their focus towards gaining control of the Solomon Islands, beginning with the island of Guadalcanal. In August 1942, General MacArthur's troops launched an attack on Guadalcanal, leading to Japan's first defeat on land. The United States decided to use a strategy called island hopping, because they knew that attacking all the remaining Japanese-held islands would be expensive and take a lot of time. Their main objective was to capture islands that were not heavily fortified and set up bases there for future military operations. During this period, the United States also employed Native Americans from the Navajo Nation, who possessed exceptional communication skills, known as code talkers. They used a special version of the Navajo language to send messages that the Japanese couldn't understand. In October 1944, General MacArthur successfully led American forces to land on the island of Leyte in the Philippines. The Japanese responded with kamikaze raids, where pilots deliberately crashed their planes loaded with bombs into Allied ships. Although kamikazes caused damage, Japan experienced substantial losses in the Battle of Leyte Gulf, which severely weakened its navy. The next goal was to capture the island of Iwo Jima, which was strategically significant for the United States. This island would serve as a base for launching bombers capable of reaching Japan. The battle that took place on Iwo Jima was intense, as numerous Japanese soldiers were firmly positioned in tunnels and caves. Nevertheless, Okinawa posed a significant barrier for the Allies in their pursuit of Japan. General MacArthur and the U.S. Marines encountered more than 1,900 kamikaze attacks during the invasion of Okinawa by the Japanese. An intense fight occurred on land, as Okinawa was the final defensive position for Japan. In the end, on June 22, 1945, the Americans were successful, but it came at a great price of 7,600 American lives. Japan suffered a loss of 110,000 soldiers, which included 2 generals. Due to the significant loss of human lives that would result from invading Japan, the Allies were greatly worried about the potential expenses associated with a direct attack on Japan's mainland.